Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for our presentation on Active 3D and MicroTiles Active 3D. Thanks again for joining us. We're going to focus on our award-winning MicroTiles LED and Active 3D that just won an award as well. My name's Dave Veroba, and I'm responsible for product marketing at Christie. And joining me is Ted Romanowitz, the Senior Product Manager for LED. He manages MicroTiles LED, as well as oversees the full LED strategy for the company and is responsible for the Active 3D product as well. So I'm going to before we jump into the 3D part, I'm going to do a quick review of our MicroTiles LED product and some of the unique features that you can't find anywhere in the marketplace. Some of the things that set it apart from the competition. For example, the Active 3D at 120 hertz. I believe no one in the market can do this, so that sets us apart again as well. After a quick review, I'll pass things to Ted, and then we'll also close things off with a question and answer session. Feel free to put your questions in the queue in the chat, and we will address them at the Q&A. So Christie understands LED and the challenges that integrators face in the marketplace. Challenges around installing, managing LED, and traditional LED products have had a number of intricacies and unique features that some love and hate. And we've tried to address those and solve for a good number of them with the MicroTiles LED product. This presentation will focus on the Active 3D, but I'm just going to go through a few of these key features of the overall product. And you can find a number of webinars from us on our Christie YouTube channel, on the Let's Learn channel within Christie's YouTube page. There are some on LED and there are some on MicroTiles LED. So MicroTiles LED is smaller in size in terms of the actual tile. It's brighter, it's more powerful, and it's certainly more flexible than any product on the market. There's no better product to deliver amazing optical performance that Ted will talk about later. But the powerful capabilities such as the 12-bit at 4K at 120 hertz for input and HDR10 compliance, as well as integrated image processing and scaling and easy switching, all combine to deliver this optimal image. The visuals are just more stunning, and the cabinet-free design, so we'll look at it a little bit more, but you can see it on the left-hand side. The product is not your traditional cabinet. It just has a chassis or carrier that the modules attach to magnetically. That makes it much more flexible. That combines with a proprietary ADA or thin wall quick mount system that allows the creation of displays pretty well in any shape and size. So in terms of shape and size, MicroTiles offers this platform to deliver totally out-of-the-box displays. The small size allows for tighter radiuses on curves. It allows for more flexibility in terms of design, and it's essentially limitless. The size is unlimited that you can do. Of course, your standard rectangle shape, the most common one that people install LED in, is very easy and it's quick. And there's a whole bunch of custom options that allow you to basically do almost anything you want. And as I mentioned, the size of the wall is unlimited. You can do 90-degree corners inside or out. You can do concave and convex curves. And as I mentioned, the curves are the tightest radius on the market. So much sharper, and the corners, again, we differentiate because our corners are as tight as the gap on the outside corner is only 5 millimeters. So you really can't see it. It's not discernible to the viewer. Whereas the competition are more around 15 millimeters. So again, another area where you have more flexibility and comfort in doing unique things with the product. You can actually offset the product, each tile from one to the next, by as little as a single pixel, which is, again, no one else can do this. We offer this unique architecture for two reasons. One, it gives you full design capabilities or opportunities, but it also cuts the time in half for installation. And some of these unique features that contribute to this fast installation and this flexibility in design include the single power over Ethernet cable that powers the tile. So video and power, all you do is you plug one power over Ethernet cable into the tile chassis, and that drives the whole solution. The modules are just click and go. There's no cables to attach the LED modules, and they just attach magnetically, and they actually don't even have X, Y, and Z adjustments. That's how efficient the product is at getting a smooth surface. So this nets out, as I mentioned, to a much faster installation time and more flexibility both in your design and your project schedule. As I mentioned, the visuals are stunning, and the control and processing capabilities of the product contribute to that. And Ted will get into that a bit, because that is a piece that enables the 3D. The high contrast visuals and cinema quality color give a true life detail, and the powerful processing, as I mentioned earlier, gives an unmatched performance. The other thing is the proprietary auto match, which allows for real-time brightness and color matching, and automatically ensures a greater than 97% image uniformity. You can even move a tile around on the display, and it will automatically adjust, so that it will automatically calibrate and store settings at preset numbers such as 100%, 75%, so that there's no bit depth loss, and the grayscale is dramatically improved. Now, as I mentioned, we've done this with an understanding of LED and the challenges that the traditional products have caused in the marketplace. So we've engineered a product that gets rid of a lot of those pain points, whether it's installation, maintenance, and servicing, or just operation itself. We've designed something that works smarter. Our quick mount system, as I mentioned, allows for a really fast installation and makes it easy to install and get a planar surface, so that you can't see any of the module where the modules join or the tiles join. It also takes less time. And then finally, before we get into the actual 3D piece, I wanted to make sure that you guys are familiar with MicroTiles and how it works and its unique architecture. So on the far right are the modules, the LED modules, and they go on the item which is second from the right. That's the chassis. So there are 3 modules per chassis. There's no wires to connect. You just click and go, and there's no XYZ adjustment either. Next to that, in the middle, is the Octroller, and the Octroller can be up to 65 feet or 20 meters away from the wall, and it acts as the central processor for up to 8 tiles. So it keeps the electronics of the tile simple and light, and offloads some of that away from the wall. And so it is the item that sends the power and the content to those tiles through a single power over Ethernet cable. The quick mount system itself it uses the wall anchors that are shown behind the chassis, which is second from the right at the back. Those units come in 2 different depths to allow you a lot of flexibility for walls that aren't perfectly flat. You put those on the wall on a template that we provide, custom created for your wall, a piece of paper, and then on that you attach mounting plates, and it only takes 2 mounting plates to do an HD wall with 1.25 millimeter tiles. So leveling is really simple. You're just basically assembling 2 plates together and making sure that they align. the next over, so second from the left, is the controller, and that's really what makes the product come alive, especially with 3D, and Ted will talk more about that. And then on the far left is the power rack and the power modules. So that's really it for the product. A few little facts. The product, before we get started, the product is manufactured on a robot line in Canada to exact tolerances. It has system level certification, so it eliminates cost and time when you're installing. There's no site certification. And then the system components can be delivered in a flexible manner, so they can actually be delivered in a varying timeline to adjust to your installation schedule and ultimately speed it up. And with that, I'd like to pass things over to Ted, and then, as I mentioned, we'll close things off with a Q&A after. Over to you, Ted.
All right. Well, thanks, Dave. Really appreciate it. And, wonderful to hear about all the, the high level advantages, benefits of this really unique architecture. And that it is, we, over the last 2 to 3 years, we really took a ground up look at the LED experience. And, we heard a lot of frustrations from our, integrator partners and our end customers about poor quality, lack of image uniformity, difficult to service or install. And we wanted to do something that was completely different than anyone else. And Dave touched on it a little bit, some of the architectural pieces of this. It's been very well received in the marketplace. We're getting a lot of orders coming in for this product, and even on the active 3D side. And, as we showed this for the first time, in your backyard, we were at ISE just in the February, and we were showing this off. And, one of the things that really struck me personally is, across the board, customers were coming in and saying, this is the best 3D experience that I've ever had. They were just blown away by the image quality and the depth of the 3D experience. And, that really, really makes us feel good. That's what we were aiming for. And then, of course, Sound and Video Contractor magazine, as Dave mentioned, gave us a Best of Show award for this product at Infocom just a month ago or so. And, again, it's always nice to have a industry, pro AV industry trade magazine really recognize our work and the effort that we've gone to do this. And, again, this is a really amazing 3D experience. And what I'm going to do is sort of demystify for you and explain all the different ways that this works and all of that. So let's go to the next slide, please. All right. And again, what we wanted to do was something much, much better. So, we wanted to bring 3D content to life to really make it pop and have a really high depth of field. Really a no compromised experience and very robust. We did that by choosing active shutter glasses, which provide 60 hertz per eye, which really sets the standard, as Dave mentioned, for direct view LED. No one else is really doing it in this way, and it does provide a much, much better experience. And I love this photo on the right. This was one of the first days last, I think it was December, that we fully implemented a 3D microtile wall 4K resolution. And this is a couple of our engineers. It's just amazing how good it was, especially close up, and how interactive. And it's hard to explain, but being that close to the wall, it almost feels like that school of fish is circling around you. It's just a phenomenal experience. It's really lots of depth of field. So let me, again, let's keep going to the next slide, and we'll kind of, demystify this and explain why it's better. But, first, Active 3D is really good for specific markets. It's not really meant for broad market, but really some specific applications like collaborative design processes. This could be in aerospace, automotive, any kind of, engineering design process where you're doing CAD models, three-dimensional CAD models, as well as not only engineering, but pharmaceuticals are using this to look at the interreaction, interrelation, I should say, of molecules and how they bond to form a biologic medicine that they're developing. Medical imaging is also an amazing opportunity here. We've been talking to some companies that are doing 3D imaging of the eye to assist with robotic surgery. That's just one example. And then, of course, there's a lot of military and government simulation aspects to this as well. A lot of special forces are looking to deploy this, to prepare them for missions and to analyze the situation and do training. So, so this would be sort of a special forces type of application. And then in terms of oil and gas, they do a lot of, detailed preparation work of both seismic and, three-dimensional colored geographic maps so that they can, decide where to drill or where to best locate their pipelines or whatnot, or their power lines. So, again, this MicroTiles LED is a great way of doing that. And then, as you're, looking at oil and gas as well, they use a lot of 3D imaging to do non-destructive testing. So they can send 3D cameras and imaging systems in through the pipelines to analyze the pipes and understand where there might be some issues that need to be repaired. And then, of course, one of my favorites is engaging immersive experiences. So, Christie is well known for working with, some of the top museums and theme parks around the world. And, this 3D experience for your clients was just amazing. At ISC, I talked to a person who's thinking about building a 30-meter long tunnel with an arced MicroTiles LED wall, from floor to floor, arcing 180 degrees, and maybe even doing the floor and creating sort of a virtual aquarium, virtual fish tank, if you will, where people can walk through it and have interactivity where there'll be sensors embedded in the display so that they know where people are and they can have the content react to them. That's just one amazing example of things that can be done. And then in the movie production, we've been seeing some interest in using MicroTiles LED as a virtual backdrop, green screen, if you will, for movie production. And as well as they develop, whether it's animation or film, to do their post-production work on our LED walls to give them a bigger canvas and, review dailies and those things. So lots of different applications for this specific technology. Next slide, please. All right. So how is it better? Because that's really a big, a big question. So, again, we're using active shutter glasses. It provides 60 hertz per eye, and across the Pro AV market, this is generally accepted as flicker-free experience. And because we're using the active glasses, it allows 3D in the full color spectrum, including up to P3 cinema color. So, the glasses themselves are color neutral with the active shutter. So it gives you, full color spectrum and it gives you full resolution at both left and right eye. So, if you use passive glasses, it only gives you half the resolution. So, 1.25 millimeter would therefore become equivalent to 2.5 millimeter. So again, the viewing distance is optimal viewing distance is 8 times the pixel pitch. So, it's just about 10 feet with 1.25. You could imagine having to be 20 feet back from the wall with an active shutter, or probably a passive shutter glass. The active glasses are a much better option. And then, with the 1.25 millimeter as well, as we talk to a lot of these engineering firms and medical pharmaceutical companies, they really want a collaborative design experience. And, part of that is, when you have, 3D goggles on, you can see the content in 3D, but you're not able to see the other people, interact with the content, or it's very difficult to kind of collaborate. When you have a active LED wall, the glasses, you can see other people, you can see them manipulate the content. And one of the real important user stories that we learned was, people want to collaborate. Like if they're designing an automotive part, they want to be able to zoom in to a fender and look at the assembly and rotate the image and, do all these other things and collaboratively, point and, work on the design, address any issues or concerns, as a team, not individually. So that's what, this delivers on. Next slide. And then, there are some trade-offs with using 3D technology in the glasses. One of them is that the glasses act like sunglasses when you go to the beach. I mean, they're shaded, and that's one of the reasons why with MicroTiles LED, the calibrated brightness is greater than or equal to 1,000 nits at over 97% uniformity. And so, actually, and also the P3 color is also at very high uniformity. So it really makes those images pop. And, that high brightness and great uniformity compensates for the light lost with the active shutter glasses. So again, with our new E1000 active 3D controller, you can input 4K UHD 3D images at 120 hertz total, so 60 in eye, up to 12 bits and 444. So it maintains all of the bit depth, all of the resolution, everything. It doesn't, compress and unpack the images. It has enough bandwidth throughout the whole system to deliver that from the source all the way to the pixel. And it, again, the 120 hertz or 120 frames per eye gives you noticeably sharper, images. If, for example, you're doing motion pictures would be a great example, where you've got high frame rate, 3D content, maybe auto racing or some other sort of, very high motion drama movies. So we've really thought it through, and these are some of the key, user stories that really resonated with us that we addressed. Next slide. And then in terms of image quality, this is something that Dave mentioned. So I wanted to delve into this a little bit more. So we have a very high contrast ratio, greater than 5,000 to 1, and wide viewing angles, 160 degrees horizontally and 140 degrees vertically. So what this means is, again, as you have that interactive team collaborating on a design, you're going to be able to see the images, and there's going to be enough viewing angle that you can look at the images from off angle, as well as have multiple people in the room, looking at the model all at the same time. The latency is also very, very good. Less than 3 frames of total latency throughout the entire system. So this gives you great responsiveness. You can synchronize audio and video with special effects. And, this is really important for our themed entertainment customers. It just gives you a wonderful, wonderful experience. And then it does come with our fully HDR10 compliant solution. So the color, probably the grayscale and the color scales really range from the deepest, darkest blacks from 0.07 nits all the way to 1,000 nits calibrated. So it gives you a lot of uniformity and a very, very big range from the darkest to the lightest, images. Again, this helps you discern individual bits and pieces of the design or the image. Next slide. And the 12-bit, the 12-bit depth per color really expands the luminance that is typical of HDR content. So if you add, HDR10 compliance to this active 3D experience, it's amazing. That really makes the content pop. And then finally, Dave talked about this a little bit, about the unique mechanical design, the small tile size, the ability to do convex, concave, both inside and outside corners to 90 degrees. This amazing architecture, the cabinetless design, allows you to do, really cool implementations like very large power walls and caves. So we're actually having a lot of customers talk to us about redoing their power walls and doing a concave curve, or even redoing their caves, doing 180 degree wrap, and then also putting a ceiling over the top of it. So you're really immersed in the content. And again, with the unique design of MicroTiles LED, that is entirely possible. Let's go to the next slide. So I want to just spend a few minutes to kind of explain how this all works. I talked about the advantages and benefits of the experience, and now I want to help you understand how it all comes together, what the system requirements are, the solution requirements. So again, this MicroTiles LED Active 3D works on our 1.25 millimeter pixel pitch only, and it works on both versions of that product. So the Series 60 gives you P3 cinema color for a bit of a premium, or the Series 40 gives you 100% of NTSC 1987, which of course is a very important broadcast standard. So, again, you can decide which one best meets your needs. And then I mentioned the new E1000 Active 3D controller. This takes our standard E1000 controller, and we load it with all the software and all the cabling that you need to work as a system. And then the glasses was, I guess, part of the secret sauce. We tested dozens and dozens and dozens of different combinations of glasses, both active glasses and IR emitters, RF emitters. And what we found was there was a significant difference. And the best combination that sort of optimized the results is using the Expand Vision solution in conjunction with our MicroTiles LED Active 3D. So there's two options on the glasses from XpandVision. They have the X103, which is a replaceable, consumer grade battery. So for engineering, pharmaceutical, a lot of industrial applications, this is a really good option because you can simply go down to, most markets that sell batteries and get replacements for them. The other option is the X101. And this is really targeted towards our theme parks and museum customers. It is a waterproof and washable option. The battery is sealed and rechargeable. Um, and it also has an option for added security, so, to make sure that you have loss prevention in place. So a really good option there for theme parks and museums and other entertainment providers. And then finally, either one of these glasses is combined with the XpandVision AE125H. This is a external IR 3D emitter and is typically located, either above or below the wall. Typically we put it above the wall and in the center. And depending on the size of the wall, you may need 2 or 3 emitters if you do a very large wall, and we can support you with that. And then in terms of the back end support, you would need a 3D capable server or workstation, and there's they have to have dual outputs, either dual DisplayPort or dual HDMI, to allow 60 hertz per cable, from the source to the E1000 Active 3D controller. So, one of the great options, if you want an all Christie solution, we do have an upgrade available now for the Christie Pandora's box that, it does have all the dual outputs and is HDR10 compliant, as well as, we've sort of pre-tested and validated it as a configuration so that we know it absolutely works. So, again, that's just one source, a combined system that's integrated and validated so that you don't, if you're an integrator partner, you don't have to bring the equipment into your labs and test it and make sure that it's tweaked properly, for interoperability. With this combined system, it just works and it's easier, less expensive, less timely for you to integrate. And then finally, in terms of the media, on the media server, you would need to have a compatible 3D software media server player that supports dual outputs. So there's, side by side files of, left image and right image, separate stream of files. And those are played through into the box and then, into the E1000 and, and then sent to the screen, for, to kind of create the really immersive 3D effect. So, we can work with you, and we've experimented a lot. We've used some different 3D players. Again, with Pandora's box, especially, it's a really, really great solution. Next slide. All right, and I just wanted to show you a quick glimpse at our E1000 active 3D controller. So it does have 2 DisplayPort 1.2 and 2 HDMI 2.0. Both of those are HDCP compatible for content protection. So it does have 2 fiber optic connections. So what you do is you create a loop through. You take one fiber optic connection and you send it to the wall, and then you link through to the all the controllers. You loop through, And then the last controller, you send another fiber optic signal back to the controller. So you have that closed loop redundancy. It's a really powerful system. It's, fully controllable. It's got an amazing user interface based on any, popular web browser, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, for example, Google Chrome, obviously. So this just gives you an idea of what the kit looks like. And also, it includes the controller, all the active 3D software that you need, as well as the dongle. All right, next slide. And again, I wanted to remind you that, this Active 3D, while we had an amazing response, many people said that this was the best, 3D experience that they've ever had. In terms of the real customers that are going to implement this, it's a bit of a narrower market opportunity, but we've had some success. We have a national lab in America that is going to be implementing this, as well as a corporate customer that's placing it in a public space. And believe it or not, they were so taken by the the amazing visual quality that they wanted to be able to put glasses out in their in their lobby and have people really have this super cool technology experience. So there are some that was kind of a surprise to us, if you will. We didn't expect this to go into just a corporate digital signage type of application. It's not the intended use. Really, as I mentioned, it's for highly collaborative designs. Engineering teams in automotive, aerospace, pharmaceutical companies doing biologics, medical imaging and robotic surgery. This could include hospitals and medical schools, as well as military and government doing simulation and training, and also looking at satellite imaging. A lot of this is special operations, activities, but then there's also other government and military applications for this. And then in terms of oil and gas, there's seismic, imaging. There's non-destructive testing of their pipelines. There's simulation training of their systems. These are all really, really good applications for that. And then, of course, in museums and theme parks, to really truly create amazing and totally immersive experiences, this is the best option available on the market. And we've addressed some of the, the loss issues with the security system available. And then as well, post-production work in film, in animation. So lots of great opportunities out there. Not a broad market product, but plenty and plenty of opportunity in these niches. Next slide, please. All right. Well, this finishes up our presentation, and I'll open it up to Q&A now. You can either go on to the chat and ask a question there, or you can come off mute and ask us a question verbally. I see one question was, is the recording going to be available afterwards? And yes, we will post this recording on our YouTube channel.
Ted, I did get two other questions in the private chat. So the first, it's two-part. Well, the first was, can you just explain how the 3D image is created? And then the second part is, are there moire issues with 3D? So they're kind of separate.
Okay. So yeah, the 3D image is basically created because you have two images that left eye and right eye, and the glass basically turns off one eye, and you're looking through right eye at the right image, and then very quickly, again at 60 hertz, then you're flickering over to the left. So it's actively switching between your left and right eye. It happens so fast, you absolutely see no flicker. So that's why you need two separate files with the images, for left eye and right eye. And then what was the other question, Dave? Oh,
Are
the
there any
moire
moire
effect.
issues with
Yeah.
3D?
Yeah, and moire is a bit tricky with LED. Being that this is 1.2 millimeter, um, you know, um, the narrow pixel pitch is a lot less susceptible to moire than other like higher pixel pitches, like 2.5 and above. Typically, have a lot of moire effect. A lot of it comes down to the camera distances, from the wall, and the distance between the let's say the talent, like if it's a news broadcast. So the relation between the wall, the talent, and the cameras, and in distance and angle, as well as the light. So this is where our custom design team can really work with you. The best thing to do, if you're thinking about remodeling a broadcast studio, is we have mobile demo carts available in EMEA, and around the world as well. There's one in India now. I think it's being shipped to China briefly, but it'll be back. And to bring it into your broadcast studio and to test it with your cameras, your setup, your lighting, and your content, and check. But as some of the pictures showed, you necessarily wouldn't want to show a 3D image like that on camera, because for the TV viewers at home, it wouldn't it wouldn't look good, right? Because they don't have the glasses, they can't decode the data. So what you see is a blurring of the image. You see kind of an offset image, like that picture I showed in one of the first slides with the two engineers. I don't know, Dave, if you want to go,
No,
go
that's
back.
okay. Sorry,
We
which
can
slide do
jump.
you want to go to?
Oh, the one with Brian and Alan, where they're looking at the fish image. I think it was like my first slide. Yeah, right there. Perfect. So you can get an idea, so this is a 3D image taken with a 2D camera, and you can see the image is blurred. So you necessarily wouldn't want to take a 3D image on a typical camera, because it's just not going to look good. But you would use this in post production to look at the 3D images that you're building, the 3D, the dailies, or the animation that you're building. So, are there any other questions?
Ted, there are two questions in the queue for you.
Oh, okay, very good, good, good. And then, can we use MicroTiles LED in cinema? Yes. Caveat. Really, the experience with it is not intended for large screen applications. Because it doesn't have all of the back end, content protection, the DCI integrated to it yet. Um, you know, but we can, I think it's best for you to reach out if you have a specific question, to reach out to our Christie salespeople, and they can have that conversation with you. There are some pieces lacking for a full, true cinema deployment, and it's mostly on the content back end. And then the other one is, how and where does the emitter get connected? So there is a dongle cable that connects to the 1000 active 3D controller, and there, we provide that dongle cable, and then you just locate the IR emitter. Again, usually above the wall, in the middle. But again, depending on the size of the wall, you may need multiple emitters, and we have a custom design capability, a custom design team that can assist you with that, and work with our engineering team to get you the solution that'll work best. All right, these are great questions. Are there any more? We'll wait just another minute in case. Okay. So how many E1000s will typically be required for a 16 by 10 screen? So our microtiles are a 16 by 9 format, not 16 by 10. And a single E1000 Active 3D can handle up to 4K UHD resolution. So 3840 by 2160 pixels. And you can scale multiple controllers wide and high. So you can have a pixel map, as much as, as big as you want. Our Spider processor, kind of an industry leading piece of kit, is available and can handle up to 80 million pixels. So, when you get scale up, really, really large, you might want to integrate a Spider into the solution. But again, we can talk to you about that. So hopefully that answered your question. And, really, it's not, the electronics isn't the constraint here. It's, the weight bearing structure, right? Either the wall or a self-standing mount. Can it bear the weight of a super large screen? But we can certainly go, scan, hit most of the popular resolutions, all the popular resolutions, as well as scale, almost indefinitely to 16 by 9 aspect ratio. And will a Spider be required in all cases? No. I was saying that, on some massive walls, a Spider would be needed, but it really depends on your application, your need for windowing, switching, and scaling images in multiple windows across the canvas. We do have other options available from Christie Digital. We do have the Christie Terra SDVOE system, which delivers AV over IP. So you can have unlimited sources and up to, I think it's 32 windows in a 4K section with Terra. So, again, Terra's a more entry level, option. It's very good quality. When you have a smaller requirement, if you have a larger requirement than Spider, but in many cases, if you're just doing a 4K wall or maybe, 2 4K walls side by side, a large, very prestigious technology company just is implementing 2 4K walls side by side, and they're not using a Spider. They're just linking the 2 controllers together. All right. All right. How many tiles will in an E1000 be required for a 16 foot by 9 foot screen? And I'm going to direct you to our LED design tool. If you go to www.microtiles.com or www.christieled.com, you'll see a link for an LED design tool. And so what you can do is you can pick the MicroTiles, LED 1.2 millimeter, and then you can design a wall by feet, and it'll tell you the size. So they're about 9.5 inches wide and about 12.5 inches tall. They're 240 by 270 millimeter. And but the LED design tool does all of the math for you, and we'll give you a design package that shows you the total number of tiles, the total number of controllers to meet your specification. Again, the number of tiles, the number of controllers depends on the pixel pitch. So a 4K UHD wall in 1.2 is a 20 wide by 10 high. For 1.5, it's 24 wide by 12 high. So again, we can go to that LED tool, and it'll allow you to quickly meet your design criteria. And the best part of it is there's a request a quote button, and so you just click on that button, enter a little bit of your contact details, and send that into Christie Digital, and we'll follow up with you, our design team, and we'll follow up to verify, validate your design, make sure it meets your requirements, and then with a simple press of a button, we can give you a budgetary price on that solution. So it's a really great thing. All right, you're welcome. That's a good question. I love that design tool, and especially the integration into our design team and our sales team to really make it super easy for you. Really encourage everyone to get out there and give it a shot. Are there any last questions? All right. Well, we really do appreciate your time and consideration. As you can tell, we're quite excited about this, active 3D solution with MicroTiles LED. As I mentioned, you can get more information on www.microtiles.com or www.christieled.com, including specifications, the design tool, information about our extended warranty and our services, our other products to create a solution. You can reach us on all the major social media platforms, including LinkedIn, Insta, Twitter, Facebook, and as Dave mentioned, we have a channel on YouTube for Christie LED, and there's several different presentations that we've done on our family of LED products, but many on MicroTiles LED about the overall platform, a deep dive, some of the design considerations, lots of good information and training available. We hope you can get over to YouTube and take a look at the remainder of all of those. And again, please reach out to us via these social media platforms or contact your local Christie salesperson. And we'd love to collaborate with you on a design that meets your requirements. Again, thank you so much for your time and consideration.